What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Jonas, and with me, as always, is my main man, Mr. David Fuchs.
What's up?
David,
How we doing?
let's talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's talk about test anxiety. Nasty topic. Nasty, nasty topic. How do you avoid test nerves?
I love when you just like throw a question at me.
Uh,
Um,
I love getting your genuine reaction. It's usually your best ones.
that's definitely a fact. Um, I think that on this exam, and we talked about it a million times, like you're gonna go in and there's gonna be nerves, there's gonna be anxiety, like there's just like no way around that. That's going to be for literally every single one. But I always say this, and I think you'll appreciate this because I think this comes from Kobe. Kobe said the only time he ever went into anything and he was genuinely nervous, he's like, I realized the only times I went in feeling that way were the times where I went in underprepared.
Mm.
So he's like, anytime I went in prepared or I've over prepared, he's like, I would go in extreme. That's where he got his confidence from. And I think that that is the same thing on the exam. Like just, and when I say go prepared, that's on like so many different levels. That's not just like make sure you know every topic like the back of your hand. It's, you know where you're going. Make sure you got all the stuff that you need that you're going to need that day. Obviously, yes, make sure you know the materials, you know, go through the repetitions a million times so you kind of are prepared for everything. Like going in prepared is the best way to just get over those nerves. And that is honestly advice, not just for this exam, but for anything.
Mm. I mean, well said. I mean, and I like the Kobe reference because I think there's a difference between being nervous and having nerves, right? Like having nerves is like you're going to walk into the exam. I think everybody at that point is going to be a little, you're going to get some butterflies in your stomach. Palms are going to sweat a little bit. You're going to be like, "Whoosh, this is what I've been working for. This is, it's go time." But I think when you really get those pit in your stomach, it's, did I do everything that I should have done?
There you go. So
Did I
same
start
thing.
early enough? Oh man, I got some regrets.
Right.
And I think that in terms of having some test nerves, I don't think you can avoid them. I think
Right.
you have to deal with them and you have to, and that's why I like getting to the testing center early. Let me get there, let me kind of just let me sit in my nerves for a little while because I think, the longer that you sit in it, the easier it is to kind of go, okay, that's it. That's enough of that. Let me move on. And I think it's kind of like anything else in life. Like if you go through a bad breakup and you really feel the feelings, how long can you sit in that misery before you're like, okay, now I got to move on? Like I've now accepted it. I've been sad. I cried it out. I talked to my friends. I talked to my therapist. Okay, now I'm ready to move on. And the same thing exists here. Getting there early, getting some of those nerves out. I go through a exam day routine where I get up and I move and I do something physical to start alleviating the stress. And I find that to be really, really helpful. It doesn't get rid of all of the nerves. I still got to go through it. I got to feel it. Like I got to feel it. It goes you feel it in your stomach, you feel it in your brain, you feel it. And then you're like, okay, now I'm ready.
I
So,
think one thing, just sorry, but why know you, I don't know if you're finished. Were you finishing a thought there?
no,
Do you
I'm
want to
done.
finish
Yeah,
your
yeah, I was done.
thought? I'm done.
Now I'm
Um,
observing my new sweater. I like it.
Yeah, I think one thing that you said, and now we're talking about like little specific mini nuanced details, but like I also think that getting there early and not like 10 or 15 minutes early, like I mean like a half hour plus early is such a peaceful, settling thing to do. I when I when I uh the time that I took it where it ended up getting canceled, I was there like 40 minutes early and I was just walking around. I was making sure, all right, I'll have a like a quick bite to eat like 15 minutes before to make sure my stomach's not gonna be grumbling halfway through this exam. I'll make sure that I'm running to the bathroom like at the latest time possible to make sure again that I don't have to gonna have to go in the middle. I make sure that I'm checked in. If the line is fucking long, you're not going to sit there and like stress out. I have 15 minutes and there's 10 people ahead of me. If sometimes you go into these buildings and it's on the third floor in the corner and you got to go here and you don't necessarily know exactly, it's not an easy where to just go right there. Sometimes the parking is an issue. So like all these things that are going to cause so much anxiety and stress the day of and or the morning of or the afternoon of giving yourself not just, oh, I'll get there a little bit early, but saying like, I'm gonna get there like significantly early
Hmm.
automatically offsets all of that, in my opinion. That it does for me. And knowing that you're there, you have like, all right, I'm here and I have 40 minutes. Like it's all right, I can breathe. I
Yeah,
got
I'm
time.
with you. I'd rather get there and wait.
Yeah, but it's knowing like when like you get up in the middle of the night and you look at the clock and you're like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. Like I have another 3 hours or I have another 2.5 hours to go back and chill and rest and go back to sleep and whatever. And it's just knowing that you have that like whole sea in front of you of time to kind of just be relaxed and then obviously as it starts getting closer, you start getting a little bit more worked up. But that's the what I kind of compare it to. Knowing
Yeah.
like, oh, I have 45 minutes. I have so much time to kind of just like be at peace right now.
Yeah, and I like that like 30 to minutes to an hour because you don't want to get there 2 hours early because that's just way too much.
No, 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 no,
Or
no.
even 90 minutes. I mean,
I
30,
30 to
45 minutes is a
45.
nice like,
Yeah, that's a
and
nice time.
for me, like when I took level one of CFA, I got, I remember that morning, my plan was to get on the train and go into Midtown. And I was living at Jersey City at the time. And the night before, I was like, you know what? Screw it. And I scheduled an Uber instead. But I left at the same time. And I got there and I went and I got breakfast. I got myself a big water. I was able to like people were lining up because, this was not a computer exam. This was
It
a
was like
paper exam.
yeah.
So people are lining up in front of, and I actually took it at, was it the Bowery Ballroom? So like
Mhm.
people are not Bowery Hammerstein, which is the one in Midtown, and people are lined up down the block. And I walked in. And I saw a couple people when I got there. They weren't letting us in until 8 o'clock, and there's people lined up there at 7:15 in December. And I'm like, I ain't doing that. So I walk in, I get breakfast, I get down, I sit down, I have a nice breakfast, get my water, get everything prepared, and then I go and I line up at about 10 of 8, and the line was very long, but they were moving us quickly. They were like, just get in and put your stuff down and get to a seat. But it was really nice that as the line started moving, you were there. You weren't like rushing in or sitting on the train and sitting and looking at your watch and holy crap and like
That's what
all
I'm
the
saying.
stress and anxiety that
Yeah.
added on top of it. So now I got to get there in the first 10 or 20 questions. I'm just, that wasn't happening. So I was like, that was so nice to like walk in. Like, I mean, I had all this time to like hang my bag and sharpen the pencil and like do all the shit that I
Right.
need to do.
And just chill. Like exactly. Like
And
there's
literally, we
nothing.
just, you don't have your phone, so you're just sitting there like this. And it was like, okay.
Mhm.
And I remember as soon as they handed out the exam, I was like, I'm a little sweaty. I haven't taken an exam in a while.
I'm trying to think. There's another so the Penn State Notre Dame Orange Bowl game that I was at a couple weeks ago. It started at 7:30 and I was like, we parked like literally right outside the stadium. We were right there. It was a very quick walk to the gate. But by like 6:20, and again, kickoff was 7:20 or 7:30, and maybe it kicked off at 7:45, whatever. But by like 6:20, I was like, like let's start heading in because I don't want to be like stuck on a line, flashing your tickets, going through security, you know. I don't know where this section is, where the section is that we're sitting in. So I was like, I want to leave at 6:20 because even if all of that stuff, which would have been the worst case scenario, but if even if all that stuff happened, we were still getting in there before kickoff.
Yeah.
If we had left at like 7 o'clock and been like, oh, we're right there, we're right outside the stadium, we're just walking at 7 o'clock. It's 30 minutes. I just would have been like a little bit on edge that we were going to get it and possibly miss something. And also, by the way, like we got right in and we got in by like 6:45, like 45-ish minutes before kickoff. And I was able to just chill, get a drink, go to the bathroom, grab some food, watch warm-ups. Like it was so peaceful, just like
Yeah.
chilling.
Yeah,
So
my
just
yeah,
like
that's
a
it's a great way to do it. And I have a buddy of mine that would just rag on me for always being late. Like professionally, I am never late. Socially, I'm not as punctual as I'd like to be. But, he would always say like, "All right, like let's leave now because we got to get there, we got to park." And in my brain on the weekends, I'm like, if it's we're meeting at 6:30, I'm going to walk out of my house at 6 because it takes us a half hour to get there. He's thinking, okay, we got to park and then we got to walk from where we parked. And I was like, I literally looked at him and I go, that's why you're on time and I'm late. That's why I'm
Well,
15 minutes
yeah, because you're
late.
not thinking of all that stuff. Like, and it's
Right.
true. Like, and it's true because, people, you maybe be like, oh, the place is 15 minutes away. All right, so we'll leave at 6:15. Well,
Yep.
you're not thinking of, we got to park. Well, first of all, we got to get to the car. We got to park. We got to walk to the place. Who knows what the red light situation is going to be? Like, who knows if there's going to be traffic? Like, all that shit you got to think of. So if you got to be somewhere at 6:15 and it's about 15 minutes away, you leave 25 minutes early
Yeah,
to
and
account.
it's yeah, and especially if you're taking it on a business day, which a lot of us are because these windows are Tuesday to Tuesday. If you're taking it on a weekend, not so much to worry about. You don't know what morning traffic is like.
Hmm.
I took CFA right here, like locally in Culver City, um, but it is a like I had to like anticipate the morning traffic because I never drive in the morning. And I remember when I was going to like I was in the area and I'm like, where is this Prometric? Like I've seen this address. I would go by it. And I was over at Trader Joe's right near it. And I'm like, let me just go see where it is. And then I was like, oh, this is gonna be traffic in the morning because this is a crappy road, coming down. Like I've seen it at 5 o'clock. So I know that in the morning it probably looks the same. And if it's an 8 o'clock test time, even though the testing center was 5 miles away, I left 45 minutes early. So just in case. And thank God that I did because the person in front of me was making a stink because he was trying to take the exam with an expired passport and they're like, we can't do it. You know that you needed to have an ID. And he's like, but I can't do it. Can I show you a picture? And they're like, no. And this dude, and finally I'm like, hey, get the hell out of here because now you're holding up the rest of us. And now the line is going back. And again, had I not gotten there early and I walk in there and now there's a line out the door, I would have been like, damn it. I wish I got here early.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is counting against my test time,
Yeah.
right? Like, and all those things start going through your head. So, anyway, so how do you get over your anxiety? Do your prep, right? Do your prep. Do everything in your power to prep the best way you possibly can, and then the rest is going to be on the exam. But do not go in there thinking about that. Put yourself in a position to succeed. Go in there, feel the exam day jitters, and then move past it. Nobody's immune. With that, we hope you found this episode helpful. With any questions, comments, or concerns, reach out to David or myself, and we will see you guys on our next episode.